This is my testimony. So, I've been a musician. I've always had this deep passion for music. I've been writing music for a long time, and I'm going to continue writing music and playing some of my old tunes and other people's tunes because I love music. I feel that there's true value to music. So, I'm going to keep doing it. I don't want to hear what anybody has to say about my choice in life. I'd rather them help me succeed, that's all. So, dealing with being homeless for all these years, it's almost ruined my life. I'm completely like demotivated because like I'm embarrassed to like ask people for help because I'm homeless. You know what I mean? It's really bad actually. So I just play music. I make whatever little money I can. I drink my beer. I got some beer here. I already had one. I've been drinking alcohol a lot, probably too much, quite honestly. But I don't consider myself a drunkard. I mean, I consider myself a buzzard in the sense that I like to get buzzed. And I smoke weed too. I've been smoking weed for all these years, and there was nothing inherently wrong with weed or alcohol. You don't want to abuse them, obviously, but honestly, they seem to actually have been sort of helpful in helping me just get through the years. The weed was the main thing that I was doing. Now I'm leaning a little more on the alcohol. But so what I'm realizing is it's not the fact that I'm using substances to cope. Like people will go and smoke weed and drink at the bars, and nobody's fucking criticizing them. So it's only because I'm homeless that it's something that people judge. And yeah, of course, I could have been saving money more, and I could have. I could have saved money and been more proactive with my finances. But I'm starting to realize that the whole thing's been kind of a blessing, because I was lost, basically. I was not a Christian for many years, and I was doing weed and I was drinking way too much. I would get so drunk that I would puke and stuff, and that's really bad for your liver and stuff. And so I've already been dealing with that for a long time, and I still have this tendency to drink too much. I have cut it down on the weed some, but I love both weed and alcohol. I think they're both things that God created. There was an old friend who tried to like tell me that me smoking weed was like the root cause of all my problems, and I don't think he realized that the weed actually helped. There were other problems in this world that he didn't want to talk about, and that he himself even helped participate in. It's this whole gang stalking mindset, this whole thing where I think what it is they don't want somebody to get a head start. They don't want somebody to live a life of not being a wage cuck when they're being a wage cuck, so they can't see you happier than them as a homeless person, They hate that. They don't want you to be happier than them. And so the fact is, though, I live an enriched, fulfilling life playing music that I love. I know other people love it because I just made like $7 or $8, playing for like not even an hour or something, which to me is fantastic. I can buy my brews and I can chill here in the station and stay warm and not freeze to death because it's like 25 degrees out right now. It's wet. It had just rained the other day. So it's like really cold and really wet, like a dangerous combination, pretty miserable to live outside in. But I lived out on the streets started the first day I was homeless was in Bakersfield, California when I was 21 years old. I had just gone to see an Alan Holdsworth concert, and of course nobody gives a shit about musicians. Like they would have been happy if I started smoking meth out there like all the other homeless people and shooting up heroin and smoking crack like all the other homeless people in all these other cities are doing. And it's just becoming this insane end of the world scenario practically where nobody gives a shit about any homeless person, and so it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse and worse. It's just all selfishness and materialism, and the homeless problem keeps getting worse and worse. And it's like they're mad that I didn't destroy myself with hard drugs, because the truth of the matter is like I said, I didn't sell my soul essentially for money and comfort. I was able to continue watering this wonderful thing that I have, which is the music, and that helped guide me to learn about God, which is the most wonderful thing that I have in my life now, is knowing God, being saved. So honestly, I'm actually really grateful that all these things happened, that the world turned against me, that old friends of mine, they went into my house, they stole from me. At every step of the way, there was somebody turning against me. My own family, my own friends. My brother bullied me my whole life, quite honestly. I'm the younger brother, and he was a bully my whole life, quite honestly. He apologized about it, but he doesn't talk to me anymore, and he still participates in the bullying when he gets the chance, but we don't see each other anymore. We probably never will. And that's pretty sad. It has everything to do with the fact that I'm a Christian, The suggestion that he's not a perfect person and that maybe he needs to repent and turn to God is the most offensive thing to him. And the same goes for the rest of my family. They hate the idea that God actually is important, that maybe I'm right, and that maybe seeking the Lord and trying to turn to righteousness and living a righteous life is better. It's really a disgusting thing, but it wasn't just my family. They're the ones I just experienced it the most from. It was also my old friends, people who turned against me and started making fun of me for believing in flat earth. This guy, I posted on Facebook some memes that were pretty good evidence for flat earth, and what he did was he deleted the comments. He says, I'm not even gonna look at him, and he puts a smile emoji, like he's happy to just stay in the dark. Like, he doesn't want to open himself up to my perspective. And I grew up with this guy. I used to buy weed from him, spent hundreds of dollars. I bought a guitar from him that ended up getting stolen in San Francisco after my family had sent it out, after my previous guitars had been stolen. It was just a shit show out on the West Coast. I couldn't sleep. Like, it was just so bad. Like, I thought of suicide so much. But then there was all these really amazing times that shone through, and I'm just really glad that I didn't kill myself, and because I wouldn't have been saved at that time had I done that back then, and I'm not going to now, because I know the truth that God is real and that I have a purpose and I have a task to evangelize to people. I'm not going to leave people hanging, not knowing the truth, So quite honestly, it's been a beautiful journey, so much struggle, so much mental just torment, essentially, like being betrayed over and over and over again. And then the same people who turned against you, they don't care that you're living out in the streets in January 10th at 25 degrees and it's wet out, and you just have nobody in this world who gives a fuck about you. And meanwhile, your friends are playing shows, making money. Social media loves them because they're not a Christian. They never went through any hard times. So, see, nobody wants to hear a hard time story. They just want to see the clean cut. Everything went perfect for them. They're just happy-go-lucky, positive all the time. It's not like I'm not positive. Like, I'm trying to stay positive in a tough situation. And I have my hustle. I have the way I make money, buy food. And it makes me happy, and I know it makes other people happy, and I'm able to share the Word of God while I do it. So I'm not having to compromise my faith. That's one of the most valuable things about being a musician. It all worked out so perfectly, and I've been writing music for the last, since I started music, essentially. I didn't record enough. There were some things that I probably could have gotten famous on had I recorded, And maybe if they're somewhere digging in some archives. Well, no, actually, I think the archives got stolen when my brother was traveling out. It's just been a shit show. So yeah, some of my best work was lost, because it was on my brother's hard drive, and it got stolen while he was living homeless, And now, he's homeless in Hawaii, and he's been an alcoholic for a while. He's had some problems, he got hit by a baseball in the head when he was younger, so that affected his mental state throughout his developing years. And he was messing around with Molly and alcohol, and then he took some bad acid. And that really just threw our whole lives off. And he ended up taking my car out to the West Coast, which ended up getting towed. It was one of the best, early on blessings that, my family helped me out with. And then it just got thrown down the drain, which was partially my own fault, But the whole situation of my brother, basically being destroyed, because it's he still hasn't even recovered, by these drugs that were given to him by these people at this place called Cow Pasture Productions up in Maine. Never go there. They're bad people. They dose people with bad acid. They don't care about my brother or me or my family. It's just this demonic evil thing, All these stupid hippies up in the woods taking too much psychedelics and using them for nothing good at all. And they do bad psychedelics, so they try to destroy people. who actually did have some good things in their life. Like me and my brother had a band, and we won the battle of the bands. We made like $300 back when I was like 18 years old or something, maybe 20, I don't know. It's like, yeah, we were pretty young. It was like I was 18 or something. He was 21, and so we had all these good things going for us. And then after that, it was like they stole his face, as they say, these Grateful Dead pieces of garbage who do that to people. They'll spin people out. They'll give them bad acid or too much acid in order to destroy these people, to make it so they cannot be a functioning human being anymore. So they could never understand or believe the gospel even if they wanted to. So these were all such bad experiences. And so when I was traveling out on the West Coast, I had my car for a little while, and I actually drove up and down the West Coast like 2 or 3 times. It was pretty awesome, and I met a lot of cool people. Had some really good experiences, but eventually I had accrued enough tickets in San Francisco that eventually they caught me and they towed my car. I kind of wish I had just drove off with it, but before they did that. But no, yeah, they caught me and they towed my car, and that was that. That was one of the biggest setbacks in my life. But it didn't end there. I kept getting instruments stolen, and for some reason, this was the reason I wanted to keep playing music. So my family sent out every instrument that I had, over $2,000 worth of instruments, nice ones too, easily over $2,000, and I got every one of them stolen. It was crazy. I even had people help me out with a couple $100 to buy a new guitar. I bought a new guitar, and then the very same night I bought it, it got stolen, because that's how bad the drug situation is out on the West Coast. And it'll be like that here on the East Coast soon. Like I said, I just got my phone stolen just the other night, on Saturday night. And so, yeah, I think it's about time that I speak up about all this, because it's just, I'm in the shit. I'm right in it. And I'm not this junkie asshole who's trying to rob people. I'm the one getting robbed over and over again, and it's fucking my whole life up. And then everybody turns around and laughs at me when I believe in God and try to promote something positive. You know what I mean? Like the NYC musicians page calling me a school shooter because I said, does anybody love music more than they hate Jesus? Because I was already front running them, because I already know that they're all a bunch of anti-Christ, anti-God devils. They just hate wholesomeness. They hate purity. They hate actual good things, because they are genuinely evil people, and that's most of the people in this whole city. They don't give a fuck about homeless people, and that's why the homeless problem is getting so bad. And they're all going to go to hell, because Jesus says, you took me not in. And then he says, depart from me, ye cursed, into everlasting fire prepared for the devil and his angels. So all these people who don't give a crap about the homeless, God will deal with them all, And it's a very comforting thing to know that I have a place of rest in the afterlife. And these same people who didn't give me a place of rest in this life, they do not have a place of rest in the afterlife. So it's an amazing thing. And they'll go out of their way to give me dirty looks and to say nasty things about me, because that's what life is all about. And it's this insane battle. And so I'm just really glad that I already went through all these other hard times, and then I eventually decided to start reading the Bible. And the big reason was, this is some amazing stuff, actually. I actually had some signs in my life that gave me reason to believe in God. And the first one was when I was a kid. I was about 6 years old, maybe 7 or 8, I don't know. And it was a rainy day. My dad and my brother were out driving, and I was worried. They'd been gone for a little too long, and I was pretty worried. And so I started praying. I got down on my knees and started praying to God and praying for their safety and for them to come back. And immediately after, they drove into the driveway. And, I was writing that off as that could have been just a coincidence throughout my whole life, So, and then plus with the being bombarded by the brainwashing of the secular school system, it's hard when you're a kid to stand up against this whole world that's literally run by Satan himself. And the people who worship Satan, these are the same people who kill little children and drink their blood and everything, and they do it a lot, actually. It's one of these secrets that's not talked about too much, and you're called a conspiracy theorist, but it literally happens. There's the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing, and there's all this cover-up with all these high-profile individuals not wanting to be exposed of the fact that they may have even participated in such of these blood sacrifices. Hillary Clinton, apparently there was a video that was found of her killing children, essentially. Let's just put it at that. And it was so bad that the police officer who saw it ended up committing suicide. And so this is the type of stuff that goes on in this world. Like, people know about the whole adrenochrome thing, how they drink the blood of frightened children, and that's how evil it gets. So, like, when you're a kid, you don't even know all this stuff. So, then you just want to live your life and have a good time and enjoy yourself. I played a lot of video games growing up. I still love video games. It was actually a helpful thing for me. I think video games are really awesome. Actually, I want to play some more when I get my place. Once AMC squeezes and I become a millionaire, I'll be getting a place, and I'm gonna buy some video game systems and have some fun on some video games from time to time. Because it's just fun. I've always enjoyed it. But some of the video games did expose me to some negative influences. Yeah, it's interesting. I played the games Diablo 2, which are both pretty good games, actually. Like, in retrospect, I like the fact that they're based on a Judeo-Christian model of the universe. They actually take into account that the fact there's a heaven and a hell, which there happens to be. That's partially why I will always like those games. But it was also dark, obviously. It's centered on these demonic things. You would actually fight demons and Satan. But honestly, the funny part about it is it's almost like hinting at real life, because that's what's going on in real life. Is we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rules of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Ephesians 6:12 of the King James Bible. And so, it's funny how my life has all had a purpose, but yeah, there's always been this like thread of darkness throughout my whole life, and that started with the fact that I was brainwashed into this believing this heliocentric model that just automatically starts you off in life telling you, nope, don't believe in God, because if you do, you're unscientific, your classmates will laugh at you, and your teachers will give you an F, all this stuff. Because you can't say that the Bible's actually true, that your school teacher will fail you in class. You're supposed to regurgitate all the brainwashing that you're force-fed, telling you that the earth is spinning and that we're also moving around the sun, and that the seasons are based upon the distance of the sun to the earth, Even though right now it's summer on the other side of the earth, which doesn't make any sense at all. Somebody was trying to tell me on these comments, oh, it's because of the earth's axial tilt. That doesn't make any sense, though. Like, seriously, like, which theory do you believe? So you're saying you don't believe in this orbiting thing because that's what we were told in school. So anyways, when you're a kid, it's like, even if you recognize some of the things, the basic facts, like the constellations have never changed in our entire lifetime, which does not make sense in a model of the universe based on entropy, basically. The model that we're taught as a secular belief system is based on entropy, chaos. It's all chaos. There is no order to this universe at all. It's all a meaningless accident according to what we're brainwashed in school with. Yet the stars repeat their patterns every single year. They have the same constellations, never changing. The North Star is a stationary star. Sailors have used the North Star as navigation for thousands of years. And we've seen the same constellation in the sky for thousands of years. There's a verse in Job that's really telling to this fact. It says, "Canst thou bind the sweet influences of Pleiades or loose the bands of Orion?" That's a great verse proving that you don't live in a godless universe. And people hate learning about... Sure, bro. People don't like the idea that there is a God because most people are living against God, sad to say. Here you go, brother. Sure. How about... Nope, that's all I got right now. Sorry. I don't have it, sorry. It's really an amazing thing how people, they don't want to hear the truth, even though the truth is the only thing that deep down that we really want. We deep down want this preservation of our soul. We deep down want to know that we'll be all right after we die. And that's exactly what God gives us through Jesus Christ. But everybody's just been so inundated in the lies. I think what it is too, is like they let all this pride of thinking they're so intelligent get to their head. So they're just not humble. It's very prideful, and it's of the devil. That's what the devil does. He's prideful. He thinks he's so beautiful, and that's why he rebelled against God, according to the Bible. So when I got older, I had a good life, I really did. I was raised by loving parents. It wasn't perfect, nobody's perfect. We're all sinners, but I was really blessed to be raised in Maine in a beautiful place. And I started playing music earlier on. My grandmother bought me a keyboard when I was 12. And that was one of the life-changing moments of my life, what exposed me to music. And then I got a guitar a year later, and I started practicing guitar. Me and my brother started jamming. We had this perfect space to play music in and enjoy nature, enjoy the beauty of Maine with some of the cleanest water in the whole world. And so we were free to just do our thing. We went to school, obviously, which was the negative part of it, because I made all these friends who ended up just either stealing from me later on in life or turning against me, as they saw that my life was getting better and better as I kept pursuing this path of playing music and trying to enrich my soul rather than sell my soul for money. And the beauty of it is, there's plenty of successful musicians who are living without having to have sold their soul, I mean, maybe not plenty of them, but there are some of them, and more props to you if that's you, good for you. And try to recognize how blessed you are and try to share the word of God with people, therefore, and not just vain stuff. Don't be vain about it. Actually go to the word of God and share it with people. So anyways, around the age of, like I said, 21, I got kicked out. I was paying rent to my dad, and for some reason he kicked me out. There was no reason that I had been able to perceive, but hey, I deserved it because I was getting into some bad stuff back then too. I was young and stupid, I was doing too many psychedelic drugs, and smoking too much weed, drinking too much, and I didn't have the Lord. But one thing that I had throughout my life, my dad had a business, and I grew up above that business. It was called Christian Ridge Pottery, and I lived on Christian Ridge Road, and it did happen to be it is one of the most beautiful places in the whole world, in my opinion, because it's actually legitimately nice and beautiful, and there's really clean water. Like I said, we grew up about 30 miles from Poland Spring in South Paris, Maine, and beautiful trees. We get to see all 4 seasons. It was awesome. But anyways, the bad acid trip for my brother happened around when I was like 20 or 21, and that was really bad. But like I said, I think all these things happened to me for a reason, in a sense, like the good and the bad, because, I deserved the bad, and the good I didn't really deserve, but God gave it to me anyways, Any bad thing that happens to me, I'm not really complaining about too much, because I realize I deserve a lot worse. I deserve to be dead and in hell for all the bad things that I've already done in my life. And now I'm trying to do better, because I realize my life is pretty important in the sense that it's the one life I was given that God gave me the control over to be able to influence the world for Him. And now that I know for a fact He's real, it's pretty amazing, and it's very encouraging. So let me tell you some of the other signs. This is going to be a long video. I'm making this long. So one of the signs that I saw of God, some other signs that I saw of God, was not only all the blessings that I was raised around and all the beauty of nature, being able to see the stars and the consistency of the constellations, and the fact that no, they do not change, which does disprove the heliocentric model, because they would have changed a million times over if the heliocentric model were true. I don't know how people actually logically believe that even though that we see a consistent pattern of the stars that we have a Chinese calendar and a zodiac based off of, they still believe that it's a chaotic, meaningless universe. So that doesn't make sense, and they call me ill-informed. Well, it's just crazy. But anyways, one of the craziest things that happened to me out on the West Coast that showed me God was real, and there was more than just one though, and some of them I can't really remember, but I knew I saw them, like the timing of things. So basically one day, my guitar and my loop pedal got stolen. And this was how I was making my money. This is how I was staying sane. This was what gave me basically a reason to live. Out on the West Coast, it's infested with meth heads. People picking at their skin until they have sores all over their face. People whose faces are sunken in because their teeth are all gone. They do this weird thing with their teeth, There's junkies and just the dirtiest place. And it's gotten way worse since I was there. I was there from like 2011 to about 2015. and I did a little traveling back and forth. I did come back to Maine for a little while. But that whole time I was living basically as an unwashed sinner, and I was doing bad things. I got body lice, and I was thinking about this today, about how lice is one of the plagues of God. And I was not saved, and I was living in utter depravity and sin, quite honestly. Like, maybe not all the time. Maybe I would play good music sometimes and do some good things. But there was all these other really bad things that I was doing, like looking at too much porn, for instance. That's just one of them. And some other ones I don't even want to mention. It's bad. Like, I deserve to burn in hell, just like you do. So don't try to beat around the bush. Like, don't try to act like you're so fucking righteous. Like, we all deserve hell. And the only thing going for us is that God is merciful enough to give us mercy. It's his righteousness. There's a verse in the Bible that says, "For they, being ignorant of God's righteousness and going about to establish their own righteousness, have not submitted themselves unto the righteousness of God." And that's what a lot of people are doing, so I'm never going to deny the fact that the only thing that saves me is Jesus. It's not me and my reformation and how good I'm doing, And this is why I can drink my beer in comfort and smoke a little weed. Maybe take some psychedelics. Maybe I was eating some mushrooms. Took some acid earlier this summer. It was awesome. I enjoyed it. I had the best trip of my life this year because I have this foundation, knowing the Bible, knowing Jesus Christ, and there's no room for the demonic spirits to enter into me anymore. So this has been a really good year, actually, for me. But yeah, I'm not recommending doing psychedelics or anything, or drinking or smoking weed. But for me, knowing I'm saved and the fact that I have a brain already wired to be able to handle these things, because I've done it in the past throughout my life repeatedly, I just felt more comfortable doing it now that I'm saved, So that's a big thing to keep in mind if you are interested in trying to expand your mind like that, because if it's based on nothing, it can actually lead in dark